On the other side, Taehyung went to Mr. Lee's office, postponing his practice schedule. Mr. Lee was already in the office. He wasn't surprised seeing Taehyung the very next day, but what surprised the old man was his calmed and relaxed facial features. What the old man didn't expect at all. Mr. Lee, come in, son. They nodded and entered into his cabin. The old Lee thought he would say this and that, but in real, he just quietly stood in front of him. Mr. Lee chuckled. Do you have any complaints about my daughter? They, of course, I have complaints, but not related to Van. Mr. Lee, tell me. They, women give birth to children, so no one knows better than them how much a life is worth. They can never be heartless like men. If you treat your child harshly as a father, the child gets hurt. But you don't even acknowledge the existence of that injury. Far from needing to comfort her, as a father, your behavior towards her affects her emotionally. She probably suffers from depressions. Not as your daughter, but as my wife. I beseech you, please, don't be rude to my wife. Maintaining a solid eye contact, he said these words to the old man in a pleading tone. Mr. Lee, Taehyung, my son, I have never forced her. I supported her when she joined the medical college. I still remember how I flexed as her father in those days. But when I got to know that she joined online business classes, I was disappointed, but didn't stop supporting her. I just wanted her to be settled in her life. That's it. I also know that marrying a hype idol is next to impossible. Still, she managed means there is definitely some hidden contract. She took every word of mine too seriously. I know I was harsh yesterday, but Taehyung, I can't see her in pain, but I don't have that much time left. So all I want a happy, stable life with less responsibility. Taehyung, I request you to be with her forever. I know it's difficult. Still, I request you. Tae. She loves you unconditionally, and I know that you are aware of that. I promise you, I will always be there with her, in her ups and downs. But still, I request you, please, treat her like the princess she is. She is craving for nothing but your love and affection. Mr. Lee, please be a doting husband. I promise I will try to be my best to be a good father. They bowed him. See you in the home then. He left the room. Yeah, at the end of the day, the newly married Kim couple finally stepped in the Lee mansion. Van planned to build up a good bond with her idle husband while Taehyung didn't want to force her for anything. Though they started living in the Lee mansion under one roof in one room, but they barely get time to spend time with each other, so there was almost no probability of having a fight or conflict. There was no Sunday for Taehyung as the group was preparing for their next tour. He was working on his solo album too. For when Sunday meant work from home, taking care of her father, sometime she planned to meet Taehyung's babysitter. In one word, she was totally occupied. In the middle of night, when they used to return to the Lee mansion, most of the time he found her in the study. Like a caring friend, he just forced her to take rest. Mr. Lee, the old man, noticed everything and was very satisfied with their bonding. Wan was a practical girl. Initially, she didn't want to invest her emotions in the relationship, but over the time, she started waiting for Taehyung. She wanted to be pushed under the blanket by the man who used to smell like lavender in wet hair. Sometimes they enjoyed late night snacks while having a good conversation. And it was the day when they would leave the country for their overseas projects and concerts. And that was the moment when Wen realized that she had already invested all her emotions in the relationship. She wanted to enjoy the same algorithm in their relationship, but her father was always been her first priority, and he was about to complete his journey. So when they came to say her goodbye, she just nodded, suppressing all her wishes. Bye. She wanted to say so many things but could utter nothing except that word. Taehyung wanted to give her a big hug but couldn't. Obviously, after some time, Mr. Lee had completed his journey, leaving his beloved daughter alone in the world. As a father, he wanted to repay his daughter with all his love, and he did so. And as soon as he left, her dream days were also gone with him. She did each and every rituals being the chief mourner. In spite of having enough money and power, she was left alone. But life goes on. She decided to survive. She turned into a workaholic woman. At that point, life seemed too tough. She forced herself to be humble. Her skills and polite behavior definitely encouraged the employees of Lee Industries, and that definitely helped a lot to achieve a skyrocketing success. On the other side, after completing almost half a year long tour, the hype idols were finally returning to Korea. Honestly, Taehyung was quite disappointed on Wen as she never made a direct phone call, but he was informed by his team and manager that Miss Lee frequently contacted. Taehyung was aware of Miss Lee's health situation, but he wasn't informed about his demise. And as he thought about that, he felt guilty. Before he could overcome from that state of mind, his manager informed him that Miss Lee personally had come to receive them. The leader, Taehyung, where will you go? To the Lee mansion or your apartment? They, Miss Lee has come to receive us. The leader, I guess it will be a chaos if we decide and attempt to shift all the luggages. Wouldn't it be better if we invite Mrs. Kim in our van? The leader smirked. They silently nodded. I will ask her. They was about to call her when he noticed the familiar car. He knocked on the glass window as he needed to talk to take her into the bulletproof van, but as he saw her, he couldn't believe his eyes. When, hi Mr. Kim, they, how are you? When, I'm fine actually. They, let me inform our leader that I'm going with you. Actually, he invited you to join us. Wen didn't know what to reply. She just blankly looked at him as she wasn't prepared for this at all. Wen quickly stepped out of the car and started following Tae. Lowering her head, she was trying to match their footsteps when they stopped and made her arm wrapped around his forearm. Are you nervous? Wen, should I not be? I heard the leader is a genius. They chuckled. Everyone in the band is genius in their own respective way. It's good that you are counting on our leader. I advise you, don't take the others lightly. They continued, but everyone is tired, so don't worry. When? What would I say if they ask how we met and fell in love? They. When they know everything and they are not the media, so we don't need to make things up. They are just happy because I am a full fledged married man now. So don't worry. Van inhaled deeply and followed they. Van. 안녕하세요. I'm Lee Van. The leader. Taehyung, help your wife to get into the car. Miss Lee, welcome. The girl was overwhelmed by the way they were addressing her in a respectful tone. Mrs. Kim, Taehyung, a couple photo please. Van and Taehyung were told to give poses. The positive atmosphere and the friendly nature of the boys instantly made her comfortable. The leader. So, Taehyung, where would the driver drop you? They glanced at Van. In the Lee mansion. Everyone was enjoying in their respective ways. The tired souls eventually closed their eyes as the van got stuck in the traffic. Taehyung looked at Van. She was looking extremely tired, like she hasn't slept for months. As she was looking outside the window, the loneliness was prominent in her eyes. Traffic in Seoul is so beautiful. One can stuck here forever, isn't it? They whispered. Van was startled as they shifted a little towards her and made her head put on his shoulder. Don't move, just close your eyes. Butterflies in the stomach. After a really long time, they was aware of the fact that he had a strong impact on her, yet she had the tendency of controlling her emotions. She used to try to suppress her feelings, and to avoid the situation, she used to try to escape from there. My sister told me that you occasionally meet her. They asked her politely. So, can't I? She asked in a low voice. But you never dialed my number, my personal number. Even though they said it in a complaining tone, he had a strong guilty feeling in his heart. I was afraid of. She tried to defend herself. The van stopped in front of the Lee mansion and their conversation was interrupted. The Kim couple stepped out of the van and waved goodbye to the others. They was mentally prepared. He was too conscious while having a conversation with Van. He didn't ask anything about Mr. Lee but expected that there would be a big portrait of Mr. Lee in the Lee mansion. But as he stepped inside the Lee mansion, there was no such memorial of him came to see. They was beyond surprised. He glanced at Van, who was having a phone call. He was patiently waiting for her to disconnect the call when the senior house help, who coincidentally used to be Van's nanny, handed him a welcome drink. They politely accepted the glass and asked, how has she been doing after her father's demise? The senior house help lady sadly chuckled. Please save her. She lives in that abandoned room in the corner of the mansion. She works and lives on medicines. She doesn't care about anything anymore. Please save her. How was Mr. Lee's last days? They asked the house help lady. Last days? He had cardiac arrest. You didn't know? The lady asked as she was concerned. How she tackled the situation? They asked her. She's a doctor herself, so she had seen death. We thought that she wasn't shocked. She was just sad, but I guess we were wrong. The lady lowered her head. Master, please save her. The lady requested in a pleading tone. They was already jet lagged, and hearing everything, they started feeling guilty. Please shift Mr. Kim's luggage into his room. When politely requested another house help. They didn't utter a single word. Actually, he wasn't in that state of mind, so he quietly went to his room. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. They woke up feeling thirsty, but the first thing he noticed was no sign of a van in the room. Remembering what the househelp lady said, he stepped out of the room and walked into the room the lady mentioned. He noticed Van was laying on a small bed, but she wasn't sleeping. Help me, I'm thirsty. They spoke in an audible tone. Definitely, Van flinched at first and tried to get up, but because her body was extremely weak, her vision blurred and she trembled. Are you okay? Why are you in this room? Sorry, I was too jet lagged. Taehyung immediately apologized and embraced her. Wen tried to gulp down, feeling dryness in her throat, but she was choked. So she coughed a little before she could respond. Do you have fever? As his warm skin touched her skin, she shivered. She didn't even have the strength in her body to answer. Yet, feeling the warmth of his body, she crawled into his embrace. They took her into their room and forcefully laid her on the bed as she resisted from lying down on that bed. Even in that condition, I will kiss you if you don't tell me where your medicines are. The words were full of intense love, but the tone wasn't. It was scary because he knew he had to say the words like that to straighten a stubborn girl like her. In the drawer, in a purple colored box, she managed to utter. But the fever won't go down immediately after taking the medicine. It would take some time. He knew that, so he put ice bag to reduce the temperature, and after some time, the fever went down. They noticed one was sobbing while sleeping. When he kissed her hair, the househelp lady had woke up and was standing on the door. Her concerned eyes were fixed on her. Master, please save her. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning when Van opened her eyes and found herself in this bedroom. I will break your leg if you dare to step out of the room. Before she could see where they was, she heard him. I have a few scheduled meetings. She tried to defend herself. Those are not more important than your health, wifey. They sat on the side of the bed. But this headache, stomachache, I need to go to the hospital. She tried to find a way to escape. Well, the doctor has checked you already. My babysitter came to draw blood. Don't worry about that. They answered. I hate you. One cried in anger. You are my wife, so you can hate me. They kissed her hair. It was a contract marriage for just 6 months. One cried again. Get up and read. He handed her the photocopies of their contract marriage. We were in a contract marriage for only 6 months when, after that period, we are husband and wife, and you can't divorce me if you don't have any proper issue. They summarized the whole thing while Van checked her signature on the papers. So you are going to stay with me? Really? Van was too confused to handle everything. Yes, at least in this lifetime, and I have no plan to stop teasing or irritating you. Rather, I'm planning to lean on you. So, Mrs. Van Taehyung, you better be careful. He used his iconic husky voice. In the latter case, if we do not or cannot cause any such inconvenience to each other, nothing shall cause us to part. One's body temperature was reduced a bit, but the reassurance they just gave her was enough to make her emotional. She looked at him with trembling eyes. Her body ache was alleviated by the medicine, but his reassurance made her body more relaxed. They had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Without wasting a single moment, he just took her into his embrace and kept patting on her back. When crawled into his embrace to ensure her mental and emotional security. Thank you. She hiccuped. Will you be angry if I say don't get well soon? I want to enjoy my vacation with you. They teased her. Do you want me to take a few days off? Van asked. Definitely, but not now. They kept kissing her hair. In the next day, will you go with me as my spouse? Hmm? Van hummed. The embrace loosened as her energy dropped. They would sense that. Van had already fallen asleep in his arms. They was also jet lagged, so eventually he fell asleep kissing her hair. He opened his eyes, feeling something wet on his hands. It was her sweat. Her whole body was drenched in sweat after the fever subsided. Van opened her eyes as her human pillow moved. Even after opening her eyes, she felt like she was dreaming. She was in the embrace of the most handsome man of the world. He was looking like an angel with his morning flowers. She wanted to kiss his cheeks but restrained herself from doing that. Have you been surviving on medications only? And why were you living in that room? I'm not scolding you because I wasn't there with you when everything happened, but if you try to be rebellious again, I will scold you. Day's morning voice sounded nothing but romantic to her. So, Queen came. What do you want to have in breakfast? They asked her. The brown file on the table? I need to go through that. She replied. You eat files? They raised his eyebrows playfully. But I actually haven't tried that kind of breakfast. Anything. I will eat anything. Van got up and was about to leave the room when she heard. Don't dare to step out of this room. You want me to take a day off? Van asked. No, it's already registered as your off day, so just rest. Your body needs that. What do you want to say? I would be held in only one day. She looked at him with teary eyes. If you and I argue, it will go a long way. Please, spend this day with me, he requested, immediately taking her into his embrace. She was already weak, so she definitely wasn't able to break his strong embrace. Honestly, she didn't want to. The house help lady prepared their breakfast. Both of them enjoyed the home cooked food. What's your plan for the day? Van asked him. Cuddles? They uttered, but Van didn't get that. Let's read. I will finish my files and you can enjoy your favorite book. That's why I hate workaholic women. How many files? They raised his face to see her face. 10, she uttered. Okay. He nodded and took the book from his luggage bag. One was definitely surprised seeing him carrying a book which was coincidentally a love story. You read? No. Usually no. During the last Dare program, I hoped that you would call me, but you didn't, and I eventually started concentrating on the words of the book, and it's going on and on. He shrugged his shoulders. They eventually became friends, very good friends. With time, one was able to live a normal life without medicine. They both were workaholics, so they worked hard every single day and waited for each other to have dinner together. Sometimes just Netflix and chill. They were full of themselves. As they never seemed publicly together, nobody was speculative about their relationship, too. A few days before attending one of the greatest music award show in abroad, one night when they came back to the Lee mansion, his whole body was aching. It was so severe that it was hard for him to even stand properly, so he threw his body on the couch. Are you okay? Ben asked. Hmm, he hummed, and that made her frown. Will I serve the dinner? She asked. Hmm. He just had that much energy left in his body. The dinner is served. Come, she said and waited for his reaction. He tried to get up a few times and finally opened his eyes to check where Wen was, and she was just in front of him. How are you feeling, Mr. Kim? She asked in a stern voice. You better not try to lie. It feels like my whole body is breaking down in pain. They surrendered. That's faster than I expected. One sighed and dialed their physician's number. He's in abroad, they uttered. Why? When uttered, while they felt something cold metal kind of thing under his tongue. I will kill you if you dare to chew it. From her tone of voice and manner of speaking, it was clear that she was angry. Forget chewing. Both they even didn't dare to blink. After a few moments, Wen took the thermometer. Please, idle up the idols, check the digits. I believe you. Don't scold me, please. They sighed. Your body is burning with fever, and you were telling me to not get angry. She sighed. They have this. She handed him a cup of milk. It doesn't taste like medicine at all. Is it any traditional medicine? He dared to ask, and she glared. It's just milk, they. Now gulp this tablet. I have messaged your physician and he approved it. Wow, you are so fast and intelligent. They praised her to calm her down. Really? Then chew the tablets. She glared. Thank God you gave up your career in that field, otherwise, you would become the scariest doctor. They uttered. Everyone in the company says I'm Hitler. Obviously, in my back, so you meant to say that. Van consciously paused. My wife is careful, overprotective. That's it. Van didn't expect that as she expected him to say, then leave the job. But he said something else. He doesn't often use the word wife or Mrs. Kim. He only used whenever he